Hey guys, welcome to Flight Test. I'm Matt, and today I'm going to show you how to assemble a VCR frame. We're going to take it out of our package using X-Acto. We'll toss this to the side. And let's open our hardware kit. After I open my hardware kit, I like to put them in separate piles so I know where everything is. These are the only two you're going to have trouble noticing the difference. We have the 14mm aluminum and 14mm steel. The way to tell the difference is the aluminum has a slightly bigger button head than the steel one does. Alright, the carbon pieces you have in the kit is a bottom plate, a mid plate, where we already installed our locking sync nuts, a top plate, 4 arms. What's nice about these is they're all the same. So if you break one, you could just replace it with any arm. And a cradle plate. This allows you to mount 30 by 30 or 20 by 20. Now the first thing I like to do is actually start with our cradle plate and install our rubber grommets. To install our rubber grommets, I like to take one, pinch it, insert one end into your hole. Once you have it about halfway through, you can see it starting to come out the other way, and just roll it through with your thumb or finger, and then it's installed. And we're going to do that all the way around. Now we're going to take our arms and assemble the lower half of the frame. I like to lay them out, give myself a blueprint. Now this part right here is actually going to go on the bottom of the frames. So I'm going to take my M14 steel screw, put it through one of our holes in the middle. Don't be afraid to push a little bit. The holes are slightly snug. Now put on your arms. Make sure to line up your battery strap hole. Now once your arms are secured to the bottom plate like so, you can go ahead and take your mid plate, place it on top of those 4 screws. Now flip over the frame and lightly start all the screws. If you are having a hard time getting them in, back them off and then try again. Do not force them. What I like to do is tighten them all the way, that way the arms sit flush and are pressed all the way down, and then back them off a little so I can still move the arms. After you installed the middle 4 screws, you're going to take your remaining 4 steel screws and you're going to install them in the other armholes. Don't be afraid to wiggle stuff around, that's why you left them loose. If you are having some trouble, you can screw them in with your 2mm while applying pressure, and then they should go right in. Now since those are installed, we can flip it over. Now you should have something like this. Next you're going to need 4 of your steel 5.5 lock nuts. You have 2 different types of lock nuts. You have aluminum and you have steel. As you can see, the steel has a slightly darker insert than the aluminum, which is bright white. Now we are going to install the steel lock nuts on our 4 arm screws. Now we're going to tighten them with our tool. I like to start with the outside screws and bolts and work my way in, going in a diagonal pattern. Now remember to tighten the center ones that we backed off slightly in the beginning. Now we're going to take our aluminum screws and install them for the mounting system for a cradle plate. I like to go one at a time so they don't fall out. Once you have the screw inserted, you can take your aluminum lock nuts, the ones with the bright white on the inside, and screw them on. Alright, we got our bottom plate all ready to go. All our arms are installed. We have our aluminum mounts for our spacer. Now let's install our cradle plate. Slide it onto the aluminum screws we just installed. Then take the remaining aluminum nuts and install them flush. Do not go too tight. If you go too tight, you have the chance of damaging your bushing. Now it's time to install our 30mm standoffs. What I like to do is take the 8mm screw, insert it into the hole, and finger tighten the standoff. Then we can go back and snug them up with our 2mm. Your VCR frame also comes with 3D printed camera mounts and an antenna holder. We're going to install those now before we put on the top plate. Install the 3D printed camera holder onto the front standoffs. The front of the VCR is indicated with an arrow cut out on the mid plate. They fit pretty snug, so you might have to use a helping tool to push them down. Take your 3D printed antenna mount and install it flush on the back standoffs. Now we're going to install our top plate. The front of the plate has a notch cut out for the camera. And the front of the mid plate has an arrow cut out. So we're going to install it like so. Now that our frame is built, we have one last thing to do. We have to choose if we're going to run top mount or bottom mount battery. I'm using our Flite Test branded battery straps, and I'm going to show you how to install it on both. If you're running bottom mount, you're going to want to take your battery strap and go underneath. And then back through the other hole. If you choose to run top mount, you're going to install your battery straps like so. First you're going to go underneath and then back through the other hole. And you're going to do that with both straps. Alright, that's how you assemble your VCR frame. Make sure to subscribe for more info on building quads.